up, everyone? Tyler DeLuca here, and I'm back with my top 3 takeaways from this past week in women's basketball. We got some big topics to hit, so let's dive in. Batting leadoff, let's talk about Colorado because they are in a slump. 4 losses in a row to ranked teams. It's been a gauntlet for them. Oregon State, USC, Utah, UCLA, an absolute gauntlet. 4 ranked teams in a row, 4 losses in a row. And it's kind of a weird thing because I've talked about Colorado being a team that I feel can go deep into the tournament, and I don't not think that now, but obviously you lose 4 games in a row, no matter who the opponents are, cause for concern, right? And the thing is, they've lost in different ways. There's 2 games, the Oregon State and the UCLA game, lower scoring, a bit more of a dogfight, kind of Colorado's style. Utah and USC kind of put points up. They put points up on the board. They were able to kind of match their style of play, the opposing style. But all 4 were losses. And I was trying to kind of pick out a stat or something that kind of made the difference in my eyes when watching these games. And the only thing I could really come up with was opposing field goal percentage. So normally, over the course of this entire season, from start to finish, including these 4 games, teams are averaging about 40% from the field against Colorado. In these 4 games, they average 48%. So that's not a small increase by any means, and 48% is very solid shooting percentage for an opposing team. So it's a kind of just luck? Is it the team being worn down, going through a gauntlet of 4 games like this? I don't know. But there's only 2 games left in the regular season. There's only 2 games guaranteed left for Colorado in this season, including the 1 Pac-12 game at minimum and the 1 NCAA tournament game. Now, I think they'll have more than that, but it's not the time to go on a slump. So they have games against both the Washington schools in the Pac-12. That's what's left. And those schools aren't a joke. Now, the records aren't, to the ranked teams that they just played, but they're no joke. I mean, we just saw Washington pull off an upset. So, Colorado's got to figure it out. And they absolutely can, but there's just not a lot of time to do that. Y'all got 2 games, and then it's postseason. It's win or go home. There's not a lot of time for Colorado to be in a slump like they are right now. So I'm still optimistic in the sense of what I think they can do generally looking at the entirety of the season. But right now, they're struggling. They're in a slump, and they are running out of time to get it together. These 2 games are going to be very big indicators in my eyes to see where Colorado is. They're not afraid to be the underdogs. They're not afraid to have their backs against the wall. That honestly might be where they're most comfortable. But 4 losses in a row, you never want to be there. That's where Colorado's at right now, and they're running out of time to shift it, to get back on pace to what they were doing earlier in the season. I'll be intrigued to see if they're able to kind of flip the switch in these last 2 regular season games and go into Pac-12 tournament, into March Madness on a bit of a higher note. All right, let's talk about Texas now, because there's no reason that Texas should be as good as they are. There's no reason at all. They now sit at number 3 in the nation, and they deserve it. They've earned it. It doesn't make sense. I want to shout out Jeremy Rosenthal of the Texas SID for some of these stats he put out on Twitter, but I just want to kind of read these out for you. All-American Roy Harmon goes down December 27th, season-ending injury. 2023 first-team All-Big 12 player misses 13 games. You have 40 total games missed by starters, and they just kept winning. They never really got off the pace. They lost their first game, the second game actually, without Rory. And after that, not smooth sailing. There's been some bumps in the road, but they're number 3 in the nation. And it's valid. That's a valid ranking for them. It doesn't make sense. What Vic Schaefer has been able to do this year is incredible. Incredible. There's no reason that they should be as good as they are without Rory Harmon. A lot of that has to do with the team play going down and the coaching Vic Schaefer has done. A lot of that has to do with the comfortability that Madison Booker has been able to find as a freshman moving into that point guard role. She's been incredible this season. She'd be my vote right now for Big 12 Player of the Year. She's been remarkable. This team has been remarkable, and it doesn't make sense. You shouldn't be able to just keep going after losing a player like the caliber of Rory Harmon. And they just did. And it's so impressive. I feel like it's been underrated this entire season. Like, now that we're getting into the depths of it, what they've been able to do so far in conference play, they go to Oklahoma and have a chance to go to the top of the Big 12. They're so in title contention. Had they just completely fallen off the face of the earth after losing Rory Harmon, I didn't think that was going to happen, but if it did, I'd kind of just be like, well, you lost Roy Harmon. And instead, they're at the same level of expectations. Because coming into the season, I thought they could be a Final Four team with Roy Harmon. And then especially when I saw what Madison Booker was doing immediately coming in. And now they're still at that caliber. After losing Roy Harmon, I'll keep saying it because it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to almost convince myself that it makes sense. And it just doesn't. The job that Vic Schaefer and this Texas team has been able to do to maintain the expectations, to maintain the success that they're seeing in this season is unreal. And I just had to shout them out because they should not be number 3 in the nation right now, but they are. It's valid and they deserve it. Shout out to Texas. My last takeaway from this past week is that it's time to stop sleeping on Virginia Tech if you have been. And I was one of the people that may have been sleeping on them. And I admit that because honestly, early in this season, I thought the pieces that they lost from the Final Four run, the kind of glue pieces, you might say, I thought that was too big of a hurdle for them to kind of get over. But now, they look pretty damn good. They're looking good, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have arguably the best duo in the entire nation. Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore. The stats they're putting up are insane. 23 points and 11 rebounds per game for Kitley. 17 points and 7.6 assists for Georgia Amore. They've both been incredible, and especially recently ACC play. They dropped 2 games in a row, Florida State and Duke, and now they went on a 10-game win streak since that point. And there's really no sign of stopping them. I mean, what Liz Kitley's been able to do in this past season, or over the course of his season, has just been remarkable, honestly. And figuring out how to kind of guard her is an interesting task because there's not a lot of bigs that play the way that she does in college basketball. And you see in men's basketball, you know, a little bit more stretch bigs and that type of play. You don't always really see that in women's basketball. It's a lot more banging the post. And honestly, Kitley doesn't really do that per se, not on a constant basis like you see with some other dominant bigs in college basketball. But her ability to stretch the floor, even just to the mid-range, the touch that she has, the fadeaway, the pull-up jumpers, it's all there. It's all there, and it makes a very difficult guard for opposing centers that might not be used to guarding that at the college level. And obviously, then you get to Georgia Amore, who's just, I mean, the facilitating is there, the shooting is there, the scoring is there. There's not really much else you could ask for a partner for Liz Kitley than what you're getting in Georgia Amore. She's been fantastic over the course of this season, and if they're both able to stay hot through the ACC tournament, through March Madness, there's no reason that they can't end up back in that same area trying to go for a Final Four. Like I said, I honestly thought early on in the season, watching them play, I wasn't very confident in them because I didn't know if the other pieces outside of the duo could reach the heights that the glue pieces last year did that kind of helped them get to that Final Four. But now that we've seen them, they've officially kind of come along, they've gelled a little bit. Now I'm starting to believe. And it all comes down ultimately to their duo, to the dominance of their duo. But right now, Virginia Tech looks like a serious contender to try and make a deep run again in March Madness. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for me for this week in my top 3 takeaways from women's basketball. Let me know what you think about my takeaways, and if you have any that you took away from this past week, let me know down below in the comments.